Well, hello there. You are listening to Nellyville, the podcast. And I'm Black. Hello, Shello, and welcome back to another fabulous episode of Nellyville, the podcasting place to be. I'm your host, Chanel number 5. And not only have we made it to the end of season 10 of Nellyville the podcast, okay? It is also the end of the year. Almost, okay? This is actually just the day after Christmas that I'm recording this, that this gets released. But maybe you're listening to this way, way, way in the future. Whatever the case may be. New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, right around the corner. I'm wrapping up the year with a complete season of the pod, and I mentioned last week that it's just something that is very complete and satisfying about that. So, if you haven't already, come up with your New Year's Eve resolutions, if that's what you do. I know that it gets popular every few years. Some years, everyone's really into it. Really about planning, really thinking about, okay, what are my goals for the next year? What are the habits that I want to break? What are habits that I want to create? And then other years, people are like, baby, I can't be bothered. Just glad to see another year, It comes and goes. But if you want to have one, you still got a little bit of time left. Unless you're listening to this way in the future. And in that case, just set a goal just because. Set you a nice little springtime goal. A goal to complete before your next birthday. A goal for the week. Sometimes those small, tiny goals are the ones that really keep you going. Okay? Have your big, large goals, but I found that have your big, large goal. But focus on the little tiny ones to help lay the bricks. That big goal is probably going to take a while in most circumstances, in most scenarios. You need to create the little wins so that you get that gratification. Okay, especially in today's society, everything's so instantly gratifying that the willpower and the eye on the prize and the focus might not be enough to get you through. Give yourself some little wins, and above all else, give yourself some grace. Rome was not built in a day. Some of the greatest achievers of all time failed so many times. You got to get through so many more no's than you will ever get yeses. Those no's make it worth it, and just know, for every no you get, the closer you are to your yes. Hello. Can we wake that up in here? Anyways, I rambled on. That was just my little emotional uplifting, my inspiring uplifting to close out the year with this final episode of the year. Okay. Moving right along. Let's wake this up. This was a cute little story. Let's stay on a positive note. So, as parents, as older siblings, older cousins, as just leaders of the world, we do what we can to inspire the youth and instill certain values and mindsets and morals in these things. And then sometimes, we teach our youth a little too well. Kids want to start putting stuff in practice. So, look, if you're going to teach your kids certain things, you got to be prepared for them to, actually exercise what it is that you are preaching to them. So you have this little girl, 7-year-old little girl, well, 6, and she was going to turn 7. And so she asked her mother if she could invite this gentleman, Jason, I believe his name was. Let's see, what's his name? What's the man's name? So the 7-year-old asked the mother, can I invite Jason? Jason is the neighborhood, shop owner. They can kind of, maybe a nice little knick-knack place, maybe a drug, I don't know. in the neighborhood, you get acquainted with the people and the things and bippity boppity boo. Well, the 7-year-old was very adamant about inviting this man to the birthday party. And the mother, of course, was like, oh, okay, this is kind of awkward. But, she leaned into it. The mother didn't want to shut it down because, she had been having discussions with her daughter over the years about how important community is and how important it is to actually be in the world and of the world and not just constantly be, in your electronic devices. To actually get out and know who you're shopping with, know your neighbors, and, all the reasons why community is important. And also, she wanted her daughter to grow up in a neighborhood where there's multiple adults looking out for her. That if something were to go wrong or something, she wouldn't have to run all the way home. She knows the baker and, the Jeffersons on the corner and the Smiths down the street. Very, very, probably something that we really haven't had since the 70s. So let's be honest. I mean, I'm sure there's just some niche communities out there that it is still very, everyone in the neighborhood knows each other. Everyone's watching out for everyone's kids. It's a village. It's, you know, I'm sure it exists somewhere, but for the most part, people just kind of, a lot of people don't even deal with their extended family. Everyone's just kind of in their own bubble. And that's a lot of reasons why that has happened. Culturally, it's just where we have evolved to. Safety is also a thing because you don't really know your neighbors. And then, also we just kind of live a more independent lifestyle these days. There once upon a time we all had to rely on each other because you had to rely on the people who made the bread, and then there were the people who built the houses, there were people who made the spices, there were people who did the very village. you know and now we have Amazon and DoorDash. So anyways, back to the birthday party. So the mother, obliged. Didn't want to crush her daughter's dreams. Didn't want to, shoot herself in the foot. She's worked hard to instill these values in her daughter. And now, put your money where your mouth is. So the mother, sends out the Evite, explains to the man, hey, if you can, I know the party is going to be during the time where the store would still be open, but if you want to dip in after you close the store and just kind of share a piece of cake with us, but my daughter will really appreciate it, blah blah blah. Fast forward, cut to the party. Mom, it's getting towards the end, it's getting towards cake time, and mom, you know was starting to not give up hope, but it was getting kind of late, and it was she gotten to the point where she kind of couldn't stall anymore. And the daughter was like, just a few more minutes. I know he's coming, just a few more. And thank God, the man showed up, didn't crush the little girl's dreams. He came, he helped pass out cake. Everyone had a good time. It was a great story. And, how nice, how sweet, how thoughtful of this man to show up to, this is nice granddaughter. This is not his niece. It's just some little girl in the neighborhood that, they're friendly and and he just got a real good kick out of this little girl wanting to invite him to the 7-year-old birthday party. So it's just nice to hear stories like that. But, I like that the mother kind of went along with it. Once again, we live in a world, we live in a society where, and especially depending on where you live, it's just more of an awkwardness. There's more of a social anxiety around doing things that are maybe a little outside of the bun. And I'm glad the mother, didn't make a liar out of herself or didn't, and I'm glad she waited. I'm glad not only did her mother go along with it and invite the man, but I'm glad that she didn't rush through it and tell the little girl, oh, he's not coming, let's just eat the cake. I'm glad, she waited. And I'm glad that he came. And I thought that was very sweet. Thought I'd share that with you guys. Very uplifting. We don't get a lot of uplifting all the time. You know, so when you come across something that's really cute, when you come across parents who are actually raising their kids right, I mean, hey, I think that it is worth sharing, getting back to some of those old traditional values. Now, speaking of traditional value and moving away from it, YouTube and Billboard have decided to move away from a tradition, a formality, if you will. So, to all the singer, artists, musicians out there, baby, I think that this is really about to change the game. YouTube has announced that they will no longer be sharing their data with Billboard. So, let me break this down in case you're not sure. So with music these days, it used to be, you artists their placement would be based off of album sales, record sales, radio play. Well, of course, now that we're more obviously in the streaming age, those streaming numbers are that's really what's telling the people where your artist falls. Because let's be honest, no one's really buying physical copies of things anymore. People aren't even paying for digital downloads. Like and you know how we used to buy individual MP3s and download it on iPods and MP3 players and things like that. No, now it's just straight up streaming services. Now, while most people listen to their music from Spotify, I still have my Pandora. I still go to Pandora. I don't really have any issue with Spotify per se. Now, they've done some questionable things, but that's another story for another day. I stick with Pandora because I've had it for so long and the algorithm knows me. And I have all of my playlists and the things set up. And when I put on the thumbprint radio, she just always knows what to play. We have a history. We go back. But anyways, I digress. So YouTube and Billboard were in negotiations to figure out, okay, how can we make this fair? I don't want to bore you with specifics and everything. I'm just trying to give you the gist. So basically, they try to have a meeting to figure out, okay, how can we make this fair? We need to change this. And Billboard was like, no, we don't want to do that. And so YouTube was like, well, screw you, figure it out on your own. So while a lot of people stream their music elsewhere, a lot of people stream their music from YouTube because a lot of people like to watch the music videos. They like to have the videos playing in the background. If you're playing music, from your TV and it's a big deal that goes towards numbers. Now, it is not view for view. And what I mean is, just because there's a certain amount of views on a song, a YouTube song, or a video for a musical artist, all of those numbers do not get counted the same. Because what Billboard was doing was, for people who were watching and had paid subscriptions, their view counted more than someone who doesn't have a subscription to YouTube. And YouTube was like, well, that's not fair. You can't count one view and make it worth 2 views just because someone has a paid subscription. You start to lose a little bit of integrity with the counting. And I think YouTube was pushing to make it just 1 for 1. Who cares if people have advertisements or don't or have paid subscriptions? 1 view is 1 view. Let the number show. And Billboard was like, we don't want to do that. So, since YouTube has cut ties with Billboard, as far as sharing streaming data, I wouldn't trust any kind of rankings right now. Because now is giving Billboard too much power because obviously they can still see what's public. They can go on and look at videos and see how many streams it has on their own, but the most accurate numbers would come right from YouTube. So now this just gives Billboard free reign to already muddy up the numbers and say somebody's top 100 when maybe they're not actually. This is very important. This is very important. Now, it's easier now to find the artists that you really love and look, the internet doesn't lie. These companies and stuff, they can make up numbers and lie to us and tell us who the top artists are. But when you're out in the world and you hear people actually, talk about these artists and you see the brand deals and who these companies want to make commercials and stuff with, y'all get what I'm saying? You can lie about numbers, but what's actually being talked about and hyped up in the real world, baby, you can't make people you could pretend to say a bunch of people like this person, they don't like them. I'm gonna pick on Tyla because I like to pick on her. I'm sorry. Love her so much. Not really, but bless her heart. Anyways, they keep trying to tell me how big Tyla is. And I bet y'all like, who? I always have to say the water girl. I'm not saying that she don't have a lot of fans. All I'm saying is that let the some of these outlets try to say she's so big. I'm like, really? Where? Who? I'm not calling the blue girl industry plant. I'm just saying. Anyways, that's another story. So, do I think that YouTube will go back on their decision? Because what is this, what does this mean for YouTube? I feel like YouTube has the upper hand in this, but I could also see where this could negatively impact them. If Billboard was investing, I don't know, some kind of financial backbone, be it through advertisement or something, it could take a hit, but people, when fans found out maybe they won't listen to music on YouTube, they'll go somewhere where they know the numbers are going to be counted towards their favorite artists. You have some diehard fans like that who will find out, oh, well, I'm not going to listen on YouTube because those numbers aren't going to go towards, my favorite rapper, my favorite singer. Let me go over here and listen to it on this other platform that I know. I don't know the ratio of how much music people are listening to slash watching on YouTube versus people who are watching everything else. I mean, YouTube is pretty much the last woman standing as far as social media it goes, as far as being the original, still being out there and popular and having its relevancy, and really hasn't wavered in popularity. There's been a dip since, maybe, I don't know, maybe like 5 to 10 years ago. Obviously, it was probably a little more popular, but she really hasn't taken a hit like that. I'm not worried about Miss YouTube like I am, Instagram, baby, she's back gone. Facebook is cooked. Vine has come and gone. Don't nobody care about no Snapchat. Threads, I mean, she's okay, but don't nobody really care. That one app that was supposed to be like Twitter, I can't even, Blue Sky or something rather, baby, she didn't take off. But YouTube, there she just, baby, she's a strong built woman. But if music views was what was keeping her afloat, I don't know, girl. We gonna sing, but either way, even if they do, and I don't think they would go under from this, but even if they do take a hit, I appreciate the hit because it's not fair. Why why do streaming sales have to be such a like a just a full blown algebra problem? Like why does it need to be all these factors? Why can't it just be very cut and dry? The numbers don't lie. If this artist got 100 million streams and this artist got 30 million streams, like we don't need to do they only got 30 million, but if you factor it, no, we not just do one for one and stop playing. This is why people don't watch reward shows or award shows, because I mean it's all bought. These record companies and these whoever is deciding who they're gonna push regardless of the numbers, and it's getting harder for them to lie about it. Eventually, this Billboard and these charts and the types of it's gonna be obsolete, just like these little award shows, because people are saying, oh well, what do I care about what an award show says? I mean, if it's highest bidder wins, or if it's who they want to push, then I'm just have my own award ceremony in my own head. Anyways, that's just me, but I thought that was very interesting. So pay attention to see who's actually stays at the top of the charts. I'm definitely going to be watching Little Miss Billboard. Speaking of Billboard artists and charters, can we just pause for a second? And can I just say, baby, I'm never wrong. I am never wrong. Now, obviously, in real life, sometimes I am wrong. But in this instance, in these circumstances, can we just pause and talk about Nicki Minaj for a second? God, I told you people. I've been saying this from day one. I have been saying this about Nicki Minaj, that she is weird, and not the good kind of weird. Not the fun weird, not the I'm quirky, I'm just a girl. No. I've been saying that there's just something about her that I can't get behind. I don't like her. It's just something about that woman. She's not right. Something is not right. And here we are. And I've never been more. I knew it was something. And in a few years ago, I was like, you know what? Maybe I was too. She's out there, but maybe I was too hard. Now, I never said that she didn't have nice. But her music, I didn't really. I couldn't get into it. I couldn't. But very talented. Okay, I'm not saying that, but it's something. It was something about her demeanor, her personality, It was something. Then she married the little questionable husband of hers. Definitely a pedo, but whatever. Supposedly, allegedly. But also, she kind of is too, because she came out with a song many, many years ago that she said some pretty questionable things about an underage boy, but that's not what we're talking about today. Little Miss Nicki Minaj, I don't know if y'all have seen, but she's full-blown MAGA. Full-blown Trump supporter. What the heck? What universe? And did we see Nicki Minaj up there with Erica Kirk, the late Charlie Kirk's wife, widow? And they're at one of those turning point. Not Truth Social is Donald Trump's social media. No, they were at one of those Turning Point USA little rallies that Charlie Kirk used to do in the things. Here they are, Erica and Nicki Minaj, doing a panel up there, sitting up there talking and kikiing and having a grand old time. What are you doing? Not to mention all this crazy stuff that she's been tweeting lately. Being racist, being homophobic, being transphobic, being demeaning, being just, I mean, I know Cardi B said the woman was on drugs. I didn't, not that I thought that Cardi B was lying, but I thought that that was maybe an exaggeration because a lot of people do a lot of drugs, especially in that industry. I did not realize that Cardi was actually like, no, this lady really is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and she needs help. She needs help. Cardi was not lying. So, and not to put Cardi on the pedestal. Look, nobody's perfect. All I'm saying is that I try to tell you people for years that there's something very wrong with that woman. And now don't you know, she's going around unfollowing all of the queer people. It's been a several of queer people that I've seen pop up on TikTok or the socials, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I think Nicki Minaj blocked me," and I'm like, "Damn." I know it's still a lot of people that are homophobic and stuff in the world, but why this makes it so much like a slap in the face is because half of her fame, and yeah, I'm gonna say half of her fame comes from gay men. Lot of queer, but specifically gay men. More specifically, black gay men. I mean, and you're just going around blocking them. Damn. You know, look, we can't choose our fan bases and things. And look, I know people. Everybody has their own beliefs and different beliefs, and you know, I get it. That's hey, I understand. That's not my ministry, but you know, everybody's entitled to how they feel about whatever. But it's certain people though, no matter what your disdain is for that community, how dare you? It's certain people who, no matter how you feel, you got to recognize they are the ones that are buying your music that have made you who you are. I'm definitely I'm gonna say people like Nicki Minaj, somebody like Cher, Donna Ross, Britney Spears. Who else? It's some artists, man. If it was not for the gays, like they would be big. But my God. And she's just really far gone. I mean, she's had a very loopy year, but these last couple months, I'm thinking, nigga, do they have something on you, or what the hell is going on? I mean, she's like really lost her marbles. It's quite, it's kind of getting alarming. But I just would love to go on record and say, I told you so. I've always said it, and people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, what do you mean you don't like her? Because I knew it was something in my spirit that didn't sit right. So, anyways, watch out for little Miss Nicki Minaj up there. And then when she was on stage with Erica, baby, just rambling, not making any kind of sense. I was like, oh, so they trying to make black women look bad because that's the only thing that's making sense. Oh, so y'all, oh, okay. Okay. And then here's the kicker. Nicki Minaj is down here talking about we need to get back to basically in a nutshell what she was saying on stage and what she's been tweeting about and stuff. She's trying to convince people we need to get back to Christian ways and we need to go back to value original American values and blah blah blah. I'm thinking, I know she's not. I know she's not. I'm not one to judge, but I know she's not the one. I know she's not up here acting holier than thou. I'm not saying that the girl shouldn't preach Christianity, and I'm not saying that, but I'm gonna need for you to acknowledge your entire discography. We're not gonna act like you've been putting out ballads like Celine Dion. We I don't listen to your music like that, but it is not giving holier than that. It's not going. I'm gonna preach this thing without acknowledging. Well, because where are you going to be taking down all of your music that's rapping about everything under the sun, but Lord God? I'm not saying that somebody has to be one or the other, but for them to pick Nicki Minaj and make her the poster child of great American values, I mean, come on. I'm not convinced that she has pulled a Black China. Y'all know Black China. I'm not that familiar with the girl, but I know enough about her that, she was really out here and then she found God and she has flipped the script. I think that was where I think she really did change her life. I don't know what Black China's out here doing these days. I don't really know that much about the girl. I don't really, honestly, but I do know that much. And it's just very bizarre. I'm like, are we living in a Twilight Zone? But for real, rambling. If you haven't seen her sitting up there with Erica, yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. I didn't watch it. I saw a couple of clips. And one of the biggest ones was when Nicki accidentally, I think it was JD Vance. Nicki Minaj actually accidentally called JD Vance an assassin. And we all know what happened to Erica Kirk's husband, Charlie Kirk. And I believe they were talking about him and stuff. And then Nicki Minaj somehow, some way, accidentally called JD Vance an assassin. And it was the most, it was as awkward as you thought it was. And Erica tried to recover and do the thing. And I think she's kind of odd too. But I'm just like, who allowed this? That it's just very bizarre. It's bizarre. So keep your eyes peeled. It's very. I just needed to let y'all know that I was right, and I accept your apology for doubting me. Some of y'all knew. Some of y'all knew. Some of y'all was on the same page. But anyways, let's end on a high note, shall we? So, New Year's is coming, and look, like I told you, make sure you take your Christmas stuff down before you bring in the new year. Tie up as many loose ends, clean your house, do as much as you can to end 2025 with a resolve. That way you can hit the ground running with your resolution. Hello, Shimanaya. And if you are struggling with what your focus should be, this is what I would love to share with you, okay? Go into the new chapter of your life, go into the new year with a blind confidence. And what I mean by that is just be so delusional and so just not, you know how to say fake it till you make it. I want you all to go beyond that. Not only fake it like you make it, but fake it like you made it 10 years ago. Have just a blind assurance, blind confidence, blind positivity towards everything. Just be so convinced in your mind that that thing is fixed, that thing has happened, that you're living in it, that you are that person, that you have that promotion, that you just it could be the first week into January, everything falls apart. I need you to have that blind confidence that it is happening for a reason, and that bigger and better is already happening. And if you need even more inspiration, some of y'all look back on where you were even last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20, 30, 40, 50. Look where you were before. You are living the dream, or at least a better, you know, situation than you were at one point in time or another. And if that is not true for you, go ahead. Now is your time to make this the time that you look back on and say, and that's where it all changed for the better. So that's what I'm going into my year with. I love the art of delusion. I think being delusional is one of the greatest gifts God could have given us. So be delusional, be blindly confident, have a great time. It's not that serious. It's just not. When you kind of, and I don't mean like, oh, be immature, be lackadaisical, have procrastination and stuff, but most things, babe, it's not a big deal. It's just kind of something that you got to check off the box. So, find the joy. Find the silver lining. It's always there. It's always there. So, we are leaving with delusional and blind confidence on our mind. We are still riding our Christmas high. We're going to watch the ball drop. We're going to do some fireworks, depending on where you are, to bring in the new year right. Do some reading, support your local libraries, keep streaming music on YouTube. Maybe, look, if we really want to stick it to the man, maybe let's all of us for 2 months stream music only off of YouTube. Now, I know not everyone has premium and there's commercials and stuff, but if everyone's streaming on YouTube, then that doesn't leave the higher ups and the execs with a whole lot of numbers to play with. If they see the value in YouTube streaming, maybe the little guy can win. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, I love you so much. Thank you guys so much for listening. I am so thankful for you and for what this year has brought and brung and it brings. And the next time I talk to you, it will be officially 2026. And I'm so excited. So let's see what the new year brings. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Woo! Bye!